Legend speaks of the galactic ley line, offering the ultimate power of the universe to those who seek its glory. That is the mystery. Utilizing the latest technology, a living starship has been built with the power to find the galactic ley line. How did you come by that ship? I must know. The enemy's weapons are attempting to force open the hatch. By twist of fate, it has fallen into the hands of an outlaw. An outlaw not in the habit of listening to warnings. An outlaw named Gene Starwood. That's my last shell. You want to taste it? His luck is about to change, but few Starwood think goodbye. Together with his crew of bounty hunters, he'll take to the stars. I'll blow him to smithereens! I'll blow him to smithereens! Outlaw Star. Weeknights at 12:30. Time.
I think the problem when it comes to content creation and social media is a few things. I think everyone feels like they have to make a social statement of some kind rather than naturally grow up and naturally allow the healthy, growth and development, intrusive thoughts take over. Although personal choices are still personal choices, you can do whatever you want with your life. At the end of the day, but trying to fight against someone or something for nothing, with no purpose intended for the fight or argument, then it becomes. Then it just becomes making blank statements, because that's what it is. You're making statements for blank, because statements don't mean anything. Because what I'm trying to say is that most people don't understand on social media when you're doing content creation is you're playing a character, but it's only on social media. It's only on it's only on your Twitter, your Twitch, your TikTok, whatever you do. Maybe you're OnlyFans girly. F girly, so I don't get myself in trouble. Or maybe, I don't care. You're a Twitch streamer, IRL streamer. I don't care. I don't care what you get into, okay? You're a sports player, don't matter. But that personality cannot leave into the real world. It cannot bleed into the real world. You cannot have a Dr. Jekyll Hyde type of personality where a personality leaks into the real world, because doing that is highly inappropriate. And it's also costs too much, for you and everybody around you, because, well, the thing is, you can't truly be 100% the character when you're in the real world. Such as Devin Valentine, which is exactly my content creator, ID, my content creation, type of, stage name. Devin Valentine, obviously the real part is the name Devin. That is my actual government name, the first part of it. And then Valentine for the character of Vincent Valentine. Obviously me liking Final Fantasy, and me, being the biggest fan of the character of, vampire gunslinging Vincent Valentine from Final Fantasy VII. Also, I have, musical influences from range of Slipknot, Marilyn Manson, Rob Zombie, Korn, Sleep Token, and Motionless in White. So you see me more on a gothic aesthetic stuff, which, even on my TikToks I do the gothic aesthetic stuff too, in music video styles, but again, it's only for the stage presence at most, nothing else. And that's what I think people confuse themselves so much. That there is a difference between the actual human than the character that's portrayed in social media. It's like with acting and voice acting. When a voice actor has to plays a character, let's just say someone who's a nice guy has to play a villain. Yeah, they're gonna go out of their way to perform the most evilest thing in their head that is possible. Think of Ray Park. as Ray Park plays Darth Maul. And Darth Maul is raised on vitriolic and hatred because Palpatine raised Darth Maul. But Ray Park in real life is a nice dude. It's kind of like that. And I think that's why parasocial relationships are very dangerous, because it blurs lines that should never be blurred out there. Realistically speaking, you know, when people post things on social media, you know, and it could be hot takes. It could be hot takes. It could be a dozens of other stuff, or they have a personality that people gravitate toward. You're in love with the personality and the character that the person made, not the person themselves. The person themselves, you know nothing about the person themselves. Even if you do meet these people in real life, you know nothing about where their life or where they really come from. You know, you might see it bleed into the content that they post, or they might even talk about, experiences they had that, is very personal to the person behind the character. But people need to know that social media is alteration of characterization. It's a huge performance. It's a huge stage and play, and nothing else. It's in some cases, it's no different than your Netflix, your Hulu and stuff like that. No different than your shows and movies, except, independently made, with no corporate backups until you get big enough to get those corporate backups, but only a small bit. As for movies, has a bunch of corporations behind it, and that's why movies have a lot of money and budget to do what they need to do for the movie. But the point I'm trying to get to is that most people don't understand, that most things on social media, at least with the content creator, is the character we're playing. I will say one thing, and I'm only gonna tell the truth. Devin Valentine is an ego-centric, goth playboy. It's just the truth. That's the character people want me to be. That's the character. Devin Valentine's a heel, 100%. But not like in the way of like Darth Vader, but like Boba Fett. Devin Valentine is just really another, lone wolf, egocentric playboy that flirts with women while also, get full of himself and arrogant, even puffs up his chest and then challenges people. But it's a character that's being played. The real me is actually, if people that has actually met me and talked to me, they know it's not the same thing. And that's because, like I said, there are multiple versions of a person. There's the person they are at work. There's the person they are at home. If they are content creators at all, the person that they become during the content creation. For entertainment purposes. And then if they are religious and they go to church, the person that they are at church was, let's be honest, an excessively way watered down version of the self, and the psyche and self. So, that's exactly where people don't, fully understand or get it that I understand completely. And I think that's what most people forget, because being parasocial, it kind of blinds your mindset. Your third eye is blocked by parasocial stuff because you think everything you see is real, or you have to make a statement when you don't need to, or you have to do this or not because you need to, rather than just separate the separate the three people. Be one of those on one thing. When you're on the clock from your job, you be the workaholic. I gotta please my boss, and I gotta keep myself tame and family friendly if you work for a family company. At home, you can cuss, talk about tits and ass and all that stuff at home or with your friends or buddies. Your content creation and whatever gets you the views you need is what you need is the kind of personality you need to develop, for your content creation. But either way, this is what people have mistaken content creation character that's being played versus the real thing. Just like how people get confused with the actors and get confused with actors and voice actors of the roles of the characters that they play. Yeah, they may be known for that stuff. It goes because it even goes to like I met Kaiba's voice actor at Collecticon. Dude is extremely nice. Like I had a good conversation with him. He was cool, chill. As for the character Kaiba, very arrogant, obsessed with beating Yugi. Kind of the Vegeta syndrome, but if Vegeta had Bulma's money and was super into, trading cards. Lovely combination, but it's just like that. Most people don't get that, people only playing a character on social media because they got parasocial. Now, there's sometimes the character fuses within the psyche, it takes it over, like in the case of Boogie. Boogie is one of those where now it's no longer a character. He became Francis for real. It became his reality because, spending so much time online. And that's another reason why I think people should touch grass and go outside. Because if you stay online, you're going to end up becoming that character. And then one day you're not going to be able to differentiate the difference between you or the character that you play. And then that goes for, much more tragic results rather than, trying to figure out life itself. But that's the case of the character and the real person, the real alter, fall out and one takes over the other. So I think that's what most people miss out on, is that this is way more difficult than what people think and give it credit for. Because, and I'm only saying this because, you have different versions you have to be for certain things. That's just the way things are. You want to be entertainment, you gotta have a personality that's entertaining. And even if you're not trying to get big, if you want to even get even like a small following, you had to have a personality that is very entertaining in the streaming game. So that's why, the more eccentric and enigmatic that you are, as a character, then you got a better chance at entertaining people, and people want to watch to see what you do next. Why do you think locales always get a lot of attention and stuff like that? It's because you can't wait for the next thing, because we get excited because it's mysterious. And that's because, in that case, it's not a character, so it's even more interesting. But that's exactly what I'm saying, is that just take social media personality like as a grain of salt, and may the crystal bless you.